Zombie apocalypse.
I was thinking about that especially. It's like I think I mean, the barrier of entry for Yu-Gi-Oh is always, as far as like just cost wise, has always been a little bit high. Um, Especially
Yeah.
when I first left back in 2018. I remember, was it with diagrams were $100. What's it called? The masterpieces were 50, and even before that, when it was the Zodiacs, the Dridents, and what's it called? Broad Bulls were 50,
Raw
60
Bulls.
each, and you would need to play three of each. So I think the barrier of entry back then, just to play the actual core of a deck, might have been $300-400 easy. Whereas now you can pick up pretty much everything you need for about 100 to 150 bucks. I actually think is amazing. Of course, there
Yeah.
are your staples like the triple tactics, like the prosperities, like the forbidden droplets with the ultimate rare reprints. By the way, amazing, amazing
It
choice for
was
that.
I think it was the most unnecessary reprint. But
Right, if they could have had that as a comment, I would have been all over that. But as for
yo,
now,
not
forbidden droplets currently
put
sucks
the shit
because
in
it
Ghost in
is
Past.
so expensive.
Yeah, just put the shit in Ghost from the past. Everyone will be happy.
Right.
You
Definitely
throw it
sad
in
for
Ghost
that
in the
set.
past, everyone will be happy.
Right.
But yeah, that's something about the last year. We've been really spoiled when it came to our reprints. Especially with Maximum Gold, like we got
That's what
Golden
was
Lords, which
amazing.
what was like $100 card. Yo, Nibiru's, what else in that set? We had like all the hand traps, impermanence,
Troll and
Appaloosa.
Lockbird. The
It's like,
alternate art Stratos was really beautiful, honestly. I love it.
yeah, yeah, it's just like we've been had a lot of good reprints this year, which I think is one of the most like important things for a new player. Because so I work at a card store. A lot of people come in and they're just like, hey, what can I buy to help me go in? And I can actually like, if it was like a year and a half ago, I would say it's kind of hard because the best deck is Spiral, so you need this like $300 Magician Souls, and then you have to go into like Circuit Breaker. No, you have to go actually to like 3-year-old sets to buy like really good cards, But now it's like, oh, you have Maximum Gold, oh, you have Dual Overload, oh, you have Dual Power, you have
Was it Dual
Blazing
Devastators?
Like there's just so many good cards right now. Hmm?
Dual Devastators, right? That was the one that had reprinted everything.
Oh yeah, Dual Devastator. That's another like big one. It's like
Dude.
it's Dual Devastator literally is reprinting stuff like this. Like it's crazy. Um, yeah. So it's like that's my one thing, and that's kind of why Deck of the Month is so possible because there's a lot of cards that just get reprinted or that like I'll play with, and then there's a reprint that make it cheap, and then if I like the deck, it'll be like high rarity. Like I like like 3 months ago, I did not have like ulti constructs or like what the hell else didn't I have? I didn't have like the Ultra Shadals. I was like, all right, but then I started playing with this deck more. I'm like, all right, I felt back in love with this deck.
Yeah.
Or even like a like this deck. I was not a fan of the Eldritch deck, but then I started playing it more, like borrowing from my friend's stuff. I'm like, this deck is really cool. So I have to eat my words on that deck of the month, but we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge.
Right. I think that's something that's really important too. Is like if you want to play a certain deck, I don't think it should be necessarily expensive just to play the deck. But if you like the deck enough and you want to max it out, that's when you can go ahead and splurge on yourself because it is something that I guess, become attached to the deck. For example, like for myself, and pretty much anyone who watches my channel and my friends like yourself know that I'm day one trickstar 100%. Across my
Yep.
heart. You know,
I'm waiting for the days you shell out for ulti Lycruses. I'm waiting for that
not
day.
right now. They shot up to 60, like 50, 60 is insane.
Oh,
I was about to pick them up for 30
no.
each, and then they shot up to 50, 60. Which, by the way, if you guys have not checked out the House of Champs most recent market watch, that really broke my heart. And you can find my little comment that says I will not pay more than 30 for each. Just go ahead and like it, please.
Yeah, gosh, nah. Ever since we've been getting stimmies, like the market's been crazy. That's also this is also why Yu-Gi-Oh is very interesting time. Cards will never be more expensive than right now
Right.
because everyone's getting they're free money, and people are buying the high rarity stuff that they have been wanting to get, or they're getting their meta deck cards. It's like it's like so last year I really wanted ulti veilers, and ulti veilers were around about $80, $90, like for unlims, like each. So right. Like, all right, it is what it is. That's like a 270. I'll eat that bullet because it's ulti veiler. This card's high. This card's always going to be in and out of a format. It's one of my favorite hand traps ever.
It's gorgeous.
And recently I went to look it up. Yeah, beautiful cards. Then recently I went to look them up and they were like 150 each. And I'm just like, I'm not dropping almost $500 for that shit. I was like, yo, what the hell? Or it's like, if you look at a bunch of GOAT cards, or if you look at plant cards, because those are popular at retro formats, like those cards are all getting really expensive now. It's like CP, Lone Fires, and then like everything like that is just getting crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I keep looking at my GOAT deck, and I'm like, I love playing GOAT, but also I could sell it.
But that money, though,
that money.
No, it's like, that's just like making a call and just getting rewarded like 5 years later. Like, it's crazy.
Right, but I guess it works both ways, to where like the more expensive cards are getting a lot more expensive. I guess just playing the fact that the meta is so diverse as well, it makes it seem just like, if for some reason you don't want to play dinosaurs, or you don't want to play Zoo Eldritch, or you don't want to play Drytron or Virtual World, which even Drytron and Virtual World have dropped in price drastically. It's insane. You can still play some very competitive options that don't have to be the most expensive. So that's something that's really, really interesting, and that's because we have such diverse meta now. I think for anyone looking to get into the game, I think this is probably going to be one of the better times to start to do it. There's no pressures of going super hard at locals. There's no pressure of having the most expensive cards. Because honestly, I don't think you need them to win. That was my point earlier. Is that back in the day, I believe that if you honestly wanted to win, you needed the triple Dryden. You needed Ash Blossom was what $50 when it first dropped, and then like a week later it was like 100. Something ridiculous, right?
Yeah. I wasn't even playing Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, and I still knew Ash was like 300 a play set, and I was like, God damn, dude, what's going on over there?
Your leg?
Yeah, it was when my knee was messed up. I missed all of Pure Zoo, and I missed most of Maximum Crisis. So I wouldn't go to locals. I'd still be like looking at stuff, and I'd just like, I look at like Ashes being 30 each. I looked at Daigusto Emeralds being like 70s each. I looked at Invoker being like $100 secret rare. Terratops were like $20. It was like, there's always gonna be there's always gonna be your formats where like the best decks are expensive. That is just unfortunately how a competitive card game will work. If the cards are good and they're not printed in mass quantity, they're going to be hard to get. It's like with structure deck cards, like really good structure deck cards, like Apcolone. This card's insane. If it wasn't a main set, I'd argue it'd be like a $15, $20 card. But since it's a structure deck, it's a $2 card. There's stuff like that. But my opinion, like you said, is very true. You don't need the best decks or the best cards to play the best deck. But there's also there's always the option to like budget yourself or save money. It's like the Balling on the Budget series, so Pax Boab series.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that series out, like, where have you been? Like, I think that's one of the best series out there. I think it's better than Sealed Only. Sealed Only is fun to watch, but it doesn't apply really well. It's like, but Boab is really just like, okay, realistically, you're gonna have a $20 budget for yourself, and you use that 20. You're gonna use part of it for your locals, and you use everything else for your deck. So like that series shows like you don't need expensive cards to do well. You just need to have the good cards and play well.
Right.
Because that's like an example of like, even with like the Salomon Great deck, right? That deck will like, except for like Phantasme, was like You just bought 3 structure decks, 3 Sunlight Wolf, and whatever staple hand traps you had, and 3 debug. That was all you needed. And that deck was, I think, arguably the best deck that format. Actually, no, Striker was way better, but it's still like one of the
It
top
was
decks
definitely
that format.
a contender for sure.
Oh no, I think it's either second or third, because that format, it was like Striker, Thunder, the Chaos Thunder deck, Salamangreat, and Orcust. But Orcust and Thunder had the problem of they were powerful and explosive, but they could brick, or they were very prone to the side deck. Striker and Salamangreat were very like anti-side deck. It's like, what the hell are you siding for Salamangreat? Like freaking Fusion of Fire, you know? It's like there was no blowout card, but against like Orcust and Thunder, you had like Lancia, Droll, Sphere Mode, stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, think now it's just like, if you want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh, I think this is the best time to do it, because everything that isn't like a main set secret rare is really easy to get to.
Definitely.
It's like because even structure deck reprints too. Like I was looking at the Secret Beast structure deck, which I feel like it was an alright structure, like as a whole, it kind of flopped. But like if you look at the reprints in that set, it had like Desires, it had Kaiju, it had Farfa, it had
people forget about the Kaijus. They're pretty broken.
Like that,
even now.
Even like the Shadal structure deck, it had like Instant Fusion, Avarice, Twin Twister, Unending Nightmare. It's like structure deck reprints are getting really good, and like some of the structure decks are really good. Like there's always gonna be your hit and miss structure decks, but like I think right now, if you want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh,
the Ice Barrier and the what's it called, Charmer. We're gonna glance right past those.
But like even the Charmer. Yeah, no, but the funny thing about the Charmer deck is that is a prime example of the bulk from that set is the Charmer cards. It's like if you take every card in that set and you put them like one out, and you have like the whatever it is, like 45 card set, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to sell the good cards, it'd be like Denko Seka, Veiler, Dark Ruler No More, Raigeki, Secret Village. But like I'm throwing all those Charmer cards in the trash, which is just another example of like the sets now having really good reprints.
I think
because only some of these reprints
that saw like a little bit of play was the Earth Link, right? It was played for a little bit.
And it was the Earth one, but it's also the Fire one. Hida, Hida and Osa. Because you played Hida in the Salamangreat format, because not only was it good against Salamangreat, it was good against Striker, because you could take Agari. But any deck that made Phoenix against you, you could steal the Phoenix or you could steal Ash Blossom. Like Hida, I think Hida is like one of the best ones, but there's no dark one yet. Once there's a dark one, that one's gonna be the best one.
Well, we'll definitely go ahead and see when the time comes. But I guess thank you so much, Rob, for joining us on this long discussion. I've missed this.